Hi, everyone. I'm Denise O'Malley, founder of You Define Wellness, and thank you for joining us for another conversation with one of our wellness providers. And today I have the fortune of talking with Dena Gould with Light of Mind. Hi, Dena. How are you?
I'm doing well, Denise. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us today. We have a short amount of time really to talk, and what I would like to do is just kind of jump in right away. And can you tell us about what it is that you do and your organization?
I do a lot, but basically what I do is I help people to release the stuck emotions that are within their body. So it frees them up to embrace their inner light and become who they're authentically meant to be. A lot of people don't realize that the emotions are in the body and not in the head. So one of my favorite testimonials that I received was someone who said they felt like they had an hour's worth of, after one session, they felt like they had an hour's worth of weekly therapy. And it is because we're releasing the emotions from the body as opposed to the mind. And so I do that energetically. I also utilize something called emotional freedom technique and just working with the client, communicating to release those emotions.
Let's kind of dive into this. You're one of our more eclectic wellness providers because you're dealing with some modalities that are not everyday, run-of-the-mill, what everyone has ever heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with emotional freedom technique. Can you describe it a little bit?
I can describe it a little bit. It is a beautiful modality that basically you tap on your energy centers to release stuck emotions. So that's basically how it works, and I can really explain it to him blue in the face, but you don't really get it until you experience it. And I have yet to have a client who is not able to make a shift while using it. So when I use emotional freedom technique, the one thing that's challenging for the client is they do have to feel those emotions they didn't want to feel in the first place. But I'll have them measure them on a scale from 1 to 10, and I'll have them try to get it, as close to a 10 as possible. Sometimes it's only a 5 or a 6. But by the time we're done, I have them measure it again. And a lot of times people are just like, wow. And they'll get it down sometimes to a 0, but to a 2 or a 3. And EFT can be used for anxiety. It can be used for fears or phobias. We've done fear of heights, fear of flying, interviews. So a lot of different things. So I love using emotional freedom technique.
So is this something where it's like one and done, or are they coming back on a regular basis, or how does that work?
Everyone is completely different. I have weekly clients, I have biweekly, monthly. I actually just had 2 clients contact me yesterday where it's been a year and they're ready to come back. So usually after the first session, if the client is willing to allow some of those stuck emotions to come up, and be a little bit more vulnerable, the very first session can be extremely powerful. And so they get it and they want to come back and do more and more. And sometimes it's enough to last them for a while. So it basically really depends on the person and what their goals are. So it isn't just really us releasing the emotions. We begin to then take steps to begin to embrace and create the life that you want. And, after even just one session, I always provide homework, and I always send you home with tools that you're going to utilize for the rest of your life.
Now, you also have quite a stellar reputation as an intuitive counselor, healer. And do you find that helps what you're doing with the EFT be stronger? Are they complementary to each other, or?
Definitely. And actually that is even kind of how I've trained it and honed in on my craft. Is I used to do separate sessions. So I would do energy sessions with my intuition, and then also the EFT sessions. And I was divinely guided to bring those sessions together. I was divinely guided to stop giving the clients information. So I no longer really provide answers. I ask the questions and help them come up with the answers within themselves. Because I can tell you something over and over, but you're going to take home or believe what you want to believe. But when I'm asking you the questions and you feel that authentic truth within yourself, there's no denying it. So even if you're trying to decide, do I stay or go with this relationship, with this job, whatever the situation may be, when you answer it authentically from yourself, you feel so much more empowered. So I definitely use my intuition to take the client to that space, but I hold them accountable for their own truth, if that makes sense.
It does. I think that is extremely powerful. It's kind of like you can lead a horse to water, but until they're thirsty, they're not going to be drinking it.
Right.
So, I mean, somebody is not going to just search out Dena Gould just because they think, oh, hey, this is something that I need to know. I mean, how do they come about finding you? Or what leads them to say, I need this?
Right. The majority of my clients are referrals, or they come from reading my Yelp or Google reviews. I actually have a huge amount that have come in from just reading my reviews. And so a lot of it's word of mouth, or they might see the psychic part and think that they want that. And then I explain really what it is that I'm doing. And if they still want the psychic, I'll just refer them out to a friend. But a lot of people are like, you know what, that really is what I need. I need to embrace that. And that's usually how it begins.
Great. So what types of things do you really specialize in helping?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. So one of the top ones right now is anxiety, just because that's really big. And I have a lot of clients who aren't necessarily wanting to take the medication, or they're wanting to at least get it under control a little bit more and be proactive with it. And then it's just kind of anyone who's really feeling stuck. So a lot of what we do is we'll go back and release those stuck emotions from childhood that are causing the triggers that are going on in your life right now. So if you, your boss asks you, why didn't you get this assignment done? Instead of getting all defensive and freaking out, when you come to me, we release some of those childhood triggers that cause you to be defensive in the first place. So now when your boss asks you, you can have a conversation with them and not hear, you're not enough or you're a failure. You hear the actual question on why didn't you get this done? And you can say, well, my priorities were a little conflicting. I didn't know what to do first. Can you help me? Instead of the defensiveness that you may have been used to feeling. Did that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And oh my gosh, we could go on and on and on, but unfortunately our time is limited. So what else would you like to add about what it is that you do that you think could help those who are watching this?
I just really want people to know that at the end of the day, it is your happiness that matters. And that's what I really want to get to with my clients, is to feel safe and confident and love yourself enough that you don't hold anyone outside of you responsible for your happiness. And
love it.
So when you're feeling good, you don't have all those triggers. You're not carrying all of those blocks. It does feel safe to be you. And it is actually kind of comfortable to be a little bit more vulnerable, because all you can do is be you at the end of the day. So my passion is just to empower people to be authentically who they are and love themselves where they're at. So nobody can take that from them.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love the work that you're doing. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and share Dena's contact information. And Dena Gould can be found, she works out of her office in Denver, Colorado. It's about I-25 in Evans, a little bit east of there. And you can also find the link to her page on our provider directory. And Dena, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing just a little bit about what it is that you do. I wish you continued success. I love what it is that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Denise.